get out in front, being the first out of the gate with some numbers. They've done it again, putting up some college football over and under win props for the brand new season involving some of the top teams in the country. And Will Bernanke, risk analyst for CG, joining us right now as he does almost every Thursday here on the show. Hi, Will. How are you?
Oh, great, Dave. What's going on over there?
Well, I'm excited because you guys have posted over and under win props for some college football teams, and that's one of the ones I like to sink my teeth into. It's one of the props I like to get into more than playing point spreads this far in advance. So I'm excited to start studying and maybe making some bets later on today. And I know for the gambling public out there that loves college football, this is a great prop. Great job by you guys getting it out early.
Oh, sure, and having the season win totals up now, obviously being first up, and also it's something that's bettable where you get a better feel for it.
Right.
I'm trying to put it into words. Betting a game, in week 7, week 8, lock and change, and then season wins, you feel like, all right, this quarterback, he stays healthy, and this offensive line somewhat stays intact. You got a better feel, so you feel a little stronger about your bet, especially with the top teams.
Well, I give you guys credit. I took a look at those. I believe you released 16 of them. I found no plays in any of them for me, and I've done a lot of preseason work. So kudos to you and your staff. The top 3 teams, Alabama, Clemson, and Georgia, were listed at 11. The 2 local teams, UNR, a win total of 6, and UNLV, a win total of 5.
That's right. You put up mostly top teams, but you did put up the local teams, which is great. And I think I might be getting involved with the UNLV win prop. I think they're going to have a tough time winning 6 games. They've got a tough schedule, and in sizing up their schedule early on, I only see 3 games where they figure to be the favorite. So you might get some action from me on that one.
Oh, yeah, UNLV was a tough one to make. And, these things are going to move pretty quickly. UNLV, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I do recall, one of the games they'd be favored against, San Jose State, was a team that pretty much dominated them last year. So I certainly see where you're coming from, and, with them having a tough time.
Dave, looking ahead to the UNLV season, they have a decent amount of returning starters. I think they're at 14 or 15.
And they're going to run the ball. Okay, one thing UNLV is going to do is they're going to be good running the ball. I don't know about the rest of this. I just don't. They're going to be one-dimensional, and I don't like the defense.
Comparing them to the conference, there are 6 teams in the Mountain West that only return 9 starters. But they're the top 6 teams, so the top to bottom, UNLV is still going to be a sizable dog against those. If you have your liked quality teams that have fewer returning starters, you have a chance to pull off some wins. UNLV's not in that situation.
We understand it's real early, Will, but any early indications as to where some of the action might be on these?
Yeah, we've taken some action. There is some action under Texas, under Oklahoma, and over Florida and over Bama thus far. So it's a couple unders, couple overs, kind of balance each other out, makes us feel like we're not way off on too high on numbers or too low.
And this is why I know some of you guys are sick of hearing this, but we have to do it because it just reinforces what is the obvious. You got to have an app. You got to have it downloaded if you're serious about winning.
Absolutely have to have the app. I mean, this weekend especially, it's a necessity. We got Belmont coming up. You got the Women's World Cup starts, I believe, tomorrow.
That's right,
the Women's World Cup. Yeah, that's it's going to be a kind of a sneaky big event. Especially with the U.S. team, hopefully they advance to the final game. You got obviously we have our NFL futures out, our season wins to win the division, all those things, games of the year, college football games of the year, and our season overruns. We'll be coming out with more of those too. The rest of the teams like Memphis, those type of teams, they should be out soon.
Good.
Baseball in full swing too.
Meanwhile, let's talk about behind the counter with some of the stuff that happened last night and what's going to be happening tonight. So let's talk about Game 3 of the NBA and how did that work out from a betting standpoint for the house?
It was brutal for us. I mean, it was so bad on the side, money line, and the props. The props, you could see it coming. Once he was announced out, Klay Thompson, everything adjusts. In the pace of the game, certain players, for obvious players, are going to get more shot attempts. It even affects the opposition. The matchups change, who's defending who. Klay Thompson, forget about how good he is on offense, one of the best defenders in the league, and that's just going to leave someone to go wild out there, and it did happen. So, yeah, all across the board, it was a terrible result.
So now we look at Game 4, and it is Durant is definitely not playing. I think this probably closes the door on him playing at all this season in this final series. Assume Klay Thompson will be back in. Are we going to see the bettors flock to the Golden State side here?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I mean, those hamstrings are very, very tricky injuries, and we've seen it many a times. I think Tony Parker, when he was when they were playing the Heat in 13, he had the same hamstring issue, and I think that was the reason they lost the series. It had nothing to do with, well, obviously it had something to do with Ray Allen, but if maybe that comes to that, if Parker's healthy, and that's similar, could be a similar scenario here with Klay Thompson. So I expect bettors to most likely come in on the Raptors. Thus far, it's been two-way action. I think people are taking the wait-and-see approach.
Will Bernanke, risk analyst for CG. You can follow him on Twitter at The Moneyline Guy. Let's go behind the counter on tonight's action, and we'll start with the hockey game. Blues and Bruins, Game 5. What's shaking there?
Oh, there's been a few more dollars on the Bruins thus far, but somewhat quiet. I think bettors are pretty shocked about what's happened so far. They didn't think it'd be a 2-2, but I expect closer to game time Bruin money to come in.
We look at how bad the Nationals have played, that they're a dog in San Diego. A lot of people wouldn't have expected that, but of recent play, they've played better. Tell us about the Nationals at the Padres tonight.
Oh, as expected, this has been a very low-volume game. Two teams that, well, Padres have been somewhat of a public team this year with Manny Machado, a big name, obviously, that's signing. But Washington's been just pretty much a fade of bettors. Bettors have been fading them of late, except for the White Sox series, but more recently, last 10, 15 games. But it's been two-way action in low volume right now.
Yankees and Blue Jays, and is anybody willing to step up to the window and back Edwin Jackson for the Blue Jays?
Not the way he's pitched lately, and also bettors don't feel like the Yankees are going to lose 3 in a row to Toronto, so it's been all Yankee money thus far.
How about the Twins and the Indians? I'm surprised the Indians were a favorite the way they're playing, and Bauer has pitched, but yet they are, and I think it's actually climbed a little bit.
Yeah, this raised some bettors' eyebrows as it opened up. Obviously, well, still Cleveland is favored. The bettors opened up betting Cleveland. Now it's shifted to all Twins money, so it's thinking the same thing.
Orioles and Rangers, they're even in this series so far. The Orioles holding on to win 12-11 in a wild one on Tuesday. And then last night, the Rangers in a surprisingly very low-scoring game, 2-1 in extra innings. They get the victory. What's the story on tonight's game with Texas, a pretty good-sized favorite?
Yeah, you couldn't get it any more contrasting styles of games, the last two games between those two teams, 12-11 and 2-1. But, yeah, money's coming in. It's all been all Texas here. I think it's the anti-Baltimore, sentiment.
A's and Angels each have 30 wins on the season. Are people backing the Halos?
No, it's been just two-way action here. It was a heck of a game last night.
Yeah,
and
it was.
I think it's just having better scratch their heads.
The WNBA, I don't follow it to any extent, but one thing I have noticed is that these totals, holy cow, you talk about line moves, and they've been sharp. Okay, these line moves have been winning. So let's take a look at, as an example, at tonight's Las Vegas Atlanta matchup. Anything of substance on the game, on the side, or the total?
Well, just to touch on those totals, Dave, early in the year with WNBA, similar happens every year, same thing. It takes us a good, couple weeks to get the pace of all these teams and a really good feel for what numbers are the right numbers with these totals. So that'll kind of flatten out. But, yeah, bettors are definitely taking advantage of it early on. The Vegas game has been fairly quiet, but definitely, just like the last few games, the money will come in on Vegas probably an hour or, half hour before the game tips off. And then as far as other action, bettors are on Connecticut tonight. They're fading the Sparks. And you would think, if it was Friday or Saturday, I think there'd be more Sparks money. In fact, it's still midweek. They're all on Connecticut here.
I will say this, as far as the Atlanta Dream go, who the Aces are playing tonight, they're 1-2 straight up. They're 0-3 ATS. They're 3 ATS losses by over 14 points per game, so they've gotten rattled in a few games.
All right. UFC 238 taking place on Saturday in Chicago. How about an idea on the early action? We do know the Cerrone-Ferguson fight is going to do big volume. It's not the main event, but it's going to be, I would guess, the main event as far as the betting's concerned. What's anticipated on that fight and other ones?
Yeah, Ferguson, right now there's a few more dollars on Cerrone. not Rick Cerrone, but I don't know what D stands for, but it is Cerrone. And as far as the other one here, I is seeing most of the action. So it looks like we may actually need the favorite in that one. And Moraes, is that how I pronounce it? Am I right?
You got me. It's as far as I'm concerned, you're 100% right.
Okay, there we go. That's all that matters.
Yes,
Moraes is seeing the majority of the money there, and that one kind of correlates where the line went up a little bit, and money's coming in on the favorite.
All right, Belmont taking place this weekend. It's not a bad field. I don't think there's going to be a dominating favorite. So much like the Preakness, this could be a real action horse race, and that's it. I don't know that it's going to do great numbers with the casual fans because there's not a lot on the line. But for the guys who like to play the horses, I think they're going to really sink their teeth into this race.
Yeah, when you have a wide-open race like this, and I'm no horse racing expert by any means, it usually has a potential for a somewhat of an upset and just to have an unexpected result. And Belmont always has a history of that, being the longest of all the races, to see someone come out of nowhere. So I expect the unexpected here.
All right, we'll try and get some ideas on who might win that race in tomorrow's show, because I sure don't know. So we'll have somebody on. Have you been tipped at all as to a live horse?
Myself, no, I have not been. And we've been so busy with the college football here that we haven't had any time to look over the Belmont. Probably later today and tomorrow.
I walked into videos today late. Marco and Sig were just finishing up their Belmont videos, so nothing I can share. But I'm sure we could probably bribe Marco to give us his picks tomorrow.
Or this afternoon when we do the podcast.
Oh, yeah, we will be doing it on the podcast, absolutely.
And is Will a part of the podcast today as well?
He is, yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, we'll just get together in a couple hours, and maybe we'll all have some good information at that point, huh, Will?
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, yeah.
In the meantime, make sure and get the app downloaded, and make sure, look, if you're going to watch the Belmont or the World Cup or the tennis action at the French Open, with some great stuff coming up this weekend, some of the CG locations around town are just absolutely awesome venues, and you can mention a couple, Will.
Oh, definitely. Cosmopolitan, 350 reservable seats, Venetian, and my personal favorite for local, Silverton. Great place.
Oh, and I love the Silverton. It's easy in, easy out. The viewing is fantastic, and there's a couple of good spots to grab some food in there as well.
Oh, a dynamite place.
There you go. Silverton's fun. And I can go into Bass outdoor whatever.
Bass,
yes, and get some real shirts that I would look absolutely ridiculous in, because I'm not exactly the outdoorsman type. And but if I want to look
take your mind off the games and get into the Bass Pro Shops.
There you go. Also, they've got that aquarium there, which is just dynamite. Have you seen that aquarium?
It's Silverton. Yeah,
yeah, it's fantastic. Yes. It really is.
Terrific.
I think that's one of the ones that the guys in that TV show did, right?
Tanked. Yeah,
I think that was theirs.
Right off 215.
Yeah, it's really worth checking out. It's fabulous. All right, Will, good stuff. We will talk to you in a couple hours.
Oh, sounds good.
Will Bernanke, risk analyst for CG, and you can follow him on Twitter at the Moneyline Guy. We'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll get you the details on what Ralph was talking about earlier. Something that applies to the Yankees-Blue Jays game tonight. That's the Joe's angle of the day next.
The Las Vegas Sportsline.
Hey, it's Dave Koken with John Lyons from Lyons Physical Therapy. So, car wrecks, very frequent in Las Vegas. Sometimes serious injuries, some not so serious, but in a lot of cases, there has to be some kind of physical therapy after the accident. Talk about that.
Yes, Dave. We as physical therapists can assess all injuries after a car accident. Sometimes we're the first person to see a patient, where we can identify the type of injuries the patient has. We will get them moving better, help reduce their pain, and we also work in conjunction with multiple physicians so these patients can be given appropriate medications to help with their pain, muscle spasms, and swelling. We can also provide any postoperative treatment in case these patients ever need surgery on their spine, their shoulders, and their knees.
LionsPTLV.com, 702-476-0222.
Hello, friends. This is Thomas Johnson from Joe's Seafood Prime Steak and Stone Crab. Need a great idea for lunch or dinner? Your best bet is Joe's, one of the most popular dining destinations on the Strip. Joe's provides the ideal setting for private parties with accommodations for up to 150 guests. Stop by to see us at the Forum Shops at Caesars and ask for Thomas Johnson, your maitre d'.
Next Sunday, not this Sunday, but next Sunday is Father's Day. And I'll wager this